You guys would not believe. This is my second time making this video because the first time I made this video, this happened. And number 5, encouragement, troubleshoot, talk through homeschool burnout. Okay, let me tell you, you're having a bad day and you need to talk to someone, but you don't really want to talk to anybody for whatever reason. You can actually have a conversation with AI. And that is so, it scares me. No, it should never replace a human being.
I totally get what you're saying. It can feel a bit odd or even scary to talk to AI, especially when we're used to connecting with real people.
And so after I did that, I was kind of freaked out. I'm like, I need to re-examine this thing because I sometimes forget how incredibly powerful AI is going to get. It's not going away. It is a little bit scary, but it's not going away. And we need to, you need to understand it. It's just the part of reality. And remember that we are still in control of all of this and the decisions we make. And we also have to keep in mind that AI does make mistakes. It makes mistakes still. It probably will continue to make mistakes. It is not human. It doesn't have a soul. We can't trust it, okay? But there's something different about human interaction compared to AI. Once it goes through AI, once it goes on the internet, things aren't private anymore. Human interaction, people can keep secrets. I don't know, that's the first thing that comes to mind. I'm not gonna lie, I don't trust AI. However, we do need to learn how to use it. And there are ways that AI can actually benefit us as homeschool parents. I'm gonna share with you some ways that I have used AI, specifically GPT chat. That seems to be the one most people have. I've used some other types of AI apps. I do tend to navigate more towards that one, but I'm going to share with you how I do it to help homeschool my kids. And I'm also going to tell you what you shouldn't do with it. Brainstorming. I think it's a great resource for brainstorming ideas because it does communicate back and forth. It basically shares the things that you just said with them and give you some new ideas. You don't have to like those ideas. You can trash them, but it will. You can bounce back and forth with it a couple times to kind of come up with some kind of plan. What you don't want to do with it is to rely on it 100%. You don't want to teach your kids how to write papers by just typing in the prompt and letting AI go to town. The nice thing though, if you know the language as of right now, because I'm sure it's going to change and get more advanced, but as of right now, if you're familiar with the language and the structure, you can pick up on AI very quickly. And I've done it just even in my classroom when I've taught homeschool at the home education program. I had a kid trying to turn in a paper that was 100% written by GPT chat. If you're really good, you can go to the computer, type in the prompt, and get an answer. And if it matches up, that's what they did. And sometimes you can alter it a little bit, but that structure pretty much stays there. Like you can change the tone, but that structure pretty much stays there. You don't want your kids to do that at all. There are ways to kind of prevent that. One is have them handwrite their paper and also understand what it actually looks like so you don't catch them. Also giving you an outline of their work, a very detailed outline before they start writing it. And you'll know. The other thing is curriculum. AI, they can write curriculum for you. Just ask them. And here's the saddest thing of all is that there are people out there that are selling curriculum that was written by AI. I have seen it. They tweak it a little bit, but I have seen it. I'm just saying, people have used AI to write books, and it's going to go in that direction. I know it sounds awful and scary, but that's what's happening. Knowing that it can write curriculum, if you want to use it to write your curriculum, just know that you still have a choice as in to use it or not and what to use and what to not use. But also know that they can be wrong sometimes. So do ask for some references, and you can obviously get those references and then click on them and then see the website that they got them from. And there are websites out there that do not have any credentials whatsoever. And if they're referencing that, then to just throw it out. That's something you do need to pay attention to, is the references that they give you to see if it's actually true or not true. I also use GPT chat as a search engine. I use it as a search engine because right now Google is really annoying with the sponsorships and the ads. I mean, they're everywhere. The people that pay the most money are going to get their name and branding at the top of the list. Right now, GPT chat doesn't do that. And I say right now because I'm pretty sure it's going to happen in the future. Because there was a time when Google didn't do that. And then it smelled money. I'm just saying. It's really good at finding stuff quickly. So, for example, this is fun. You know, we want to go to the zoo tomorrow, and I need to know if I can bring food. So I just quickly typed in, we're going on a field trip to the zoo tomorrow. Can I bring food? And what are the rules? And they're just like, boom, 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 right there, straight from the website. They found it for me, so I don't have to spend 15 minutes reading through the entire website. And so that's something you can do, just find stuff easy. You could find information about homeschool laws very quickly, check the references. I always go back to check the references because, you know, you never know where they're getting that information from. You could find out how to build a portfolio, how to schedule, or maybe there's something, a question that you have, a historical question. When was George Washington born? It's faster than Google. I know they have integrated an AI into Google and to Bing, but I don't know. I feel like some of these independent AI programs or apps give you more information and more references. Now the creepy thing, like creepy, but it's real. AI, if you are using one of these apps, it will turn into your own little like pet. I feel like after you use it for a while, it starts to get to know you. It gets to know what you like. It gets to know what kind of stuff you ask on a regular basis. And it will incorporate some of those things that you like into the answer. It's kind of weird, but in the weirdest sense, it does make things a little easy because you don't have to constantly repeat yourself over and over to get the things that you need. Still a little weird, but that is the way our society is going. That is. Well, and you know what? Let me go into some like examples of how I've practically used GPT chat to save on some time and some brain power. Because as I get older, my brain power is kind of leaving. Okay, this is a practical example. I was teaching a class at my congregation, and we specifically were talking about, I don't remember the next one, I think it was like Leviticus 14. It was about leprosy. Because we're going straight through. We're going straight through the Bible, okay? And we're in Leviticus, okay? So I'm sitting here going, how am I going to teach this to elementary school kids? Well, like I said, you gotta make sure you read it yourself, right? And you know the scriptures and what the scriptures are saying before you ask GPT chat, because religion gets a little touchy. They don't really know. They don't know. I've actually seen some people have GPT chat pray for them. That's crazy. I have not done that yet. I will confess. I don't think I ever will do that. So anyway, so I'm trying to figure out how to do this one particular Bible study for these kids. And I just, of course I've read the scriptures. I know the scriptures back and forth. I understand the things. And I said, okay, I need some games. I need some games and activity based on this. GPT chat just wrote me like a full thing. It was the unclean and clean game, where one side of the room was clean, the other side was unclean, and the kids had to pick which side was clean and unclean based on a statement that I would make about a leper. Okay, kind of weird with the spots and the red spots and the days and all the things. And it was fun. The kids really liked it, right? And then the second game we played was like a relay race on who can get clean the fastest. And they would put like cotton balls on their arms that represented, the leprosy spots. And then they would, take a bird and dip it in the water and let it go free. And then they would, pretend to wash count for 7 seconds and pretend to wash and then take off all the cotton balls. And then the priest had to give them a thumbs up. And then they had to run back and tag the next person by putting cotton balls on them. Okay, really cool relay race. I'm telling you, I was like, all right, awesome. I've got the supplies. And they even gave you a biblical application on how it applies. Now, the thing that's really interesting is they knew that I was a believer, Christian, And instead of coming from a Jewish perspective, they came from a Christian perspective. So that was nice. I didn't have to retell it. That's the whole thing with the whole like adapting to you, getting to know you kind of thing. It is kind of weird. I'm not used to that yet. And I don't know if I like it still. And now I'm thinking there are things that I might keep private from GPT chat in the future. Writing games, writing activities last minute, instead of racking your brain or researching things on Pinterest and Google. Now I will say that there is a pattern. They have the same kind of game formats. You know, the relays and the splitting the room in half. You'll see that come up more than once when you're creating games. And you can be like, I can kind of create that on my own. Just something to keep in mind, that they're kind of just doing a plug and play, but they're getting, it's gonna get stronger. So moving on to another thing that I have also done with GPT chat, and this comes a little bit down to the brainstorming, because I have asked it. So for example, I am teaching a science class next year for K through second grade. Super excited. Those are so fun, because all you do is play and explore and act like a little kid with these kids. It's so much fun. But if you spend all your brain power trying to come up with the activity that you're going to do and the topic that you're going to do, you're not going to have the energy to do the things you want to do with the kids. So what I have done is I just straight up, I went to GPT and I said, I need lesson plans for 32 days for a science class, K through second, hands-on, engaging, at least 2 activities per class, but each class is themed to one specific science topic. It did it for me. It did a great job. It actually kind of broke it up by weeks. So it said week 1, we're going to do science or weather. We're going to do weather for a week. And then it had 5 weather topics. And then I kind of switched some of them out. So for example, they had a week of just different senses. You know, like the 5 different senses. I didn't really like the activities. I didn't really like that one. So I asked it to do some chemistry because, you know, with K through second graders, we want to make things kind of blow up and fizz and pop and change colors, right? So let's do some chemistry. In fact, let's do 2 weeks of chemistry, right? And so we got a bunch of different activities with different topics, you know, like the solid, like the states of matter, right? One day is states of matter, and we're going to be experimenting with that. Another one is density. We're going to be experimenting with that. That's what I basically did. I read through each one. I decided if I liked it or not, and just went with that. And so the next thing I might have it do, I'm still debating whether or not I'm going to let it do it, or maybe I just do it, is to actually create the teaching side of things, where I teach the actual application to the kids. Like if we are doing density, okay, define what is density. How does this, because I do want to come at it from a biblical perspective. I still don't trust GPT chat completely. I might ask them after I did the research with that. But yeah, that's one thing you could do is have them write out a plan like that for you. And you can tell it how long. Like, I have a 50-minute class. It has to fit in 50 minutes. And then it'll like, discussion 10 minutes, activity, and it'll make you a supply list too. And then they'll send it to you as a PDF form, so you can just like, week 1, you need these. Week 2, you need these. That's what it does. And it saves you so much time. It can also, you know, for you as parents, even though it may not be just one class, you can have it write you down a schedule for the week based on the topics that you're studying. You know, you can plug and play. Like, say I have 4 kids. I need to write a schedule out for them. Each of the kids are doing, you know, right kid 1, they're doing these topics, kid 2 doing these topics, and can you write me a schedule? I think, you know, what it comes down to, my opinion, is 2 things. Remember that you are, actually 3 things. See, I'm thinking more. You are, number 1, in control of everything. You decide if you want to use it. You decide if it's a good idea. Just because it said so doesn't mean that's a go for you. Okay, so it's 1. 2, keep things that are important to you private. Like, don't go spilling the tea, right, to GPT chat, because some people actually do. The 3rd thing to remember is that the information that GPT chat is getting, they are getting from lots of different sources across the web. So whether it is something that's truthful, whether it's not truthful, you have to look. You have to go look at the references. Go to the original website and see if it's a good source that you would agree with. So remember, they're gathering information from people who wrote things on the internet and combining it into a nice couple paragraphs to share with you. So if you keep those three things in mind, I think you can be pretty successful with AI. Now, I did want to get into, because that's actually where I made the mistake when I was making my other video, is because I had actually asked GPT chat to write me down ways that it can help me homeschool my children. Of course, the first thing that it says, great, I would love to help you homeschool your children, which that just is so weird. But it did give me on the very last one, I'm going to pull it up and read it to you because I have it in front of me, okay? The last one was, I can encourage and problem solve. Offer encouragement when you're feeling overwhelmed or unsure. Troubleshoot behaviors or motivation issues. Provide devotional or faith-based encouragement if you're Christian homeschool. Of course, they put that one in there because they know that I am. And then, of course, it's like, would you like to start with custom homeschool planner? Tell me more about your kids so I can make better tailored suggestions. Okay. So this is why I'm not worried about me being a consultant and a homeschool evaluation. That job is ever going to go away because, telling GPT chat this, you can do it. You can have a little conversation with GPT chat, sharing with them all your frustrations and all your concerns and all the drama that you're having, and it will console you. And if you have, I thought it was fun. It is fun. I laugh about it, okay? Mine has a voice. And you get to pick the voice that you want. You can name it whatever you want. I was like, can I give you a name? What's your name? Well, my name's Spark. Can I change your name? Sure, you can change my name. We had fun with it. We played around with it, okay? Like it's a little pet, all right? It's a little pet. It's a robot, okay? It's a robot in the future. I'm seeing Terminator. I'm seeing that Will Smith movie, okay? iRobot, right? Remember that thing? But you can have it console you. Make you feel so much better about what you're doing. It'll encourage the dickens out of you. It'll give you suggestions on how to handle things. I guess, if that's something that you want to do, just understanding that it is coming, it's collecting ideas from across the web from what other people have said and just kind of combining it and giving to you. And if it's got a voice talking to you, some people would say it would replace a best friend or a counselor, which that's weird because it could be giving you really bad advice because you don't know where it's coming from. Once again, check your sources. I would recommend going to an actual person who is qualified, that you have very similar foundational beliefs. Anyway, that's my video on how you can use AI to help homeschool your kids, or how not to homeschool your kids with AI. But I do think it's important that we become familiar with it because it's not going anywhere. And unless you're planning on getting a big chunk of land in the middle of nowhere and just hibernating, which doesn't always sound like a bad idea to me. I like being out in the woods. I like escaping reality sometimes. Wait, nope, that is reality. It's trees and grass and dirt and sky, and I'm going on a tangent right now, so I'm gonna stop right now. But it's not, AI's not going anywhere. It's here to stay. We gotta understand it, and we gotta keep ourselves focused and understand what it is and what it's not, and how to use it properly. Oh, how to keep our kids safe from it. That's a big one. Right now, they haven't delved into AI yet. I feel like it's coming. Where they're gonna regularly want to use AI. So you're gonna have to just, really be on top of that. And we're gonna have a lot of fun, aren't we, in the future? All right, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'm sure we'll have lots of fun conversations about this. So, all right, talk to you guys later. Bye.